The Scorpionlord is a secret boss found in Chapter 4 of Black Myth Wukong. You find him after locating and defeating the Venom Taoist not once, but twice to enter Purple Cloud Mountain. And not only is he a side boss in an optional area, but he himself is completely optional, because he's just chilling, getting drunk, enjoying his wine. But if a monkey comes along and smashes that wine, well, then he's going to try to smash that monkey. And so today, I'm going to go over Scorpionlord's move set, along with a few tips and tricks that I picked up in my fights against him. If you want to know more on where to find him, check out my dedicated video on the area around Purple Cloud Mountain, which will be linked up in the card and down below. Also, if you want to see more content like this, do be sure to get subscribed and leave a like while you're down there. With that said, I want to start off with just a couple of general tips and tricks. Scorpionlord does a lot of poison damage, so at minimum, you should have some anti-miasma powders on you. They can be a little bit tricky to drink in combat since it takes about the same amount of time as a gourd, but they also could very well save your life if you get poisoned. Also, wearing an armor set that boosts your poison resistance or using a soak in your gourd to ward off poison are also great alternatives. Now, because of his agility, I found it pretty hard to interrupt Scorpionlord by staggering him with heavy attacks, so I'd also strongly recommend the Defensive Spirit Non-Void. This gives you a backstep move and temporary invulnerability while you execute it. Technically speaking, he is vulnerable to interruption. You can bonk him, especially if your thrust stands, or you could use something like the Wandering Wight to bonk him a different way. But if you miss, you're going to look pretty foolish and he's very likely to counter. Now, one other general tip that I have is pay very close attention to his body. Before he uses a move that centers on his claw, it's going to glow yellow. And a lot of his claw moves have a smaller range than his tail moves, but he uses a lot of them together. On the other hand, if his tail glows green, he's about to use a poison move. These are a mix. Some are wide sweeps, others are long strikes. So time your dodges accordingly and watch out for the puddles of poison that he leaves behind. Those often explode, inflicting quite a bit of damage. He does have a couple moves that combo both together, but in general, he is more likely to attack with just one of his armaments rather than both. I also noticed that he's pretty equally aggressive whether you're at close range or at a distance from him. So don't expect too many standoffs, and also a lot of his attacks have movement on them, so don't think that just because you dodged backwards, you're going to be safe. With that said, let's go into a few of his movesets in a bit more detail, because Scorpionlord is by no means an easy fight. First up, one of those combo moves, where he combines strikes with his claw and strikes with his tail. On the claw, dodging to the side should be fine, but on the tail, make sure to time your dodge precisely as these cover a larger amount of distance. He ends the sequence by jumping into the air, embedding his claw into the ground, where it gets stuck. While his claw is stuck, this is a perfect time to punish him or unload with a heavy attack. The reason I wanted to start with this is one of the few attacks where you can very safely attack him after he executes it. Since his claw got stuck in the ground for a moment, I never saw him chain this directly into anything else. Next up is the aerial tail slam, where he jumps into the air, spins almost frozen midair, with his tail slamming repeatedly. Dodge left or right to avoid these, and do be careful of the poison splashes, the range is slightly larger than you'd expect. His other spinning move is even more dangerous, and that's tail spin, where he rolls along the ground, spinning several times, unleashing a sweeping strike from his tail for each one. The reason this is so dangerous is because it really comes down to your timing, not just the direction you dodge. In fact, he even rolls towards you a bit, meaning it's very difficult to get out of range. What you can do is get out of range with something like Cloud Step, where you will go away and he'll try to hit your dummy. Or alternatively, use Non-Void. This gives temporary iframes and a lot of distance, coupling that with a dodge, and you should be pretty safe. Then sometimes he just tries to spike you with his tail. Where it glows, he slams it forwards and leaves a poison puddle that explodes shortly afterwards. The bad news here is, if you time it wrong, you're going to take absolutely massive damage as the tail hits you, and then the poison puddle explodes beneath you. During the fight, he uses his claw to strike at you as well. Sometimes this is just a simple slash, and sometimes if you don't dodge that slash correctly, it ends in a clash, after which the chosen one takes little damage. So do be sure to keep your health topped off, that way you don't die to this. Now when it comes to his claw, he's got a couple moves. First one I'm going to call Claw Rush, where his claw glows gold, he charges forwards. I actually really struggled to avoid this one, because I kept trying to dodge forward through the boss thinking his momentum would carry him past me, and that just didn't happen. I actually think the best thing to do here is dodge backwards with Non-Void. You could use Cloud Step, but I don't recommend wasting it on this move, or alternatively, you could time your dodge as well and move left to right or right to left. Another claw attack he has is his Flurry, where his claw glows, then he rapidly slashes multiple times. Again, Non-Void is really good for covering the distance here, and this one's dangerous enough that I would recommend using Cloud Step if you end up, say, up against a wall and you need to immediately and instantly phase through the boss. Now moving back to a tail, he also has a tail combo, where he goes with a mix of strikes, think a linear attack that you can dodge left and right, and sweeps, we have to dodge at the correct time. Again, I personally found this one to be tricky since the sequence does execute very rapidly, and it was easy to be slightly off in my first dodge, so I get hit by the second move, so I dodge at the wrong time again and get hit by the third move. But if you do give it timing down, then you should have a rhythm to easily and fluidly dodge all 3 strikes. Another of his more annoying but relatively easy to deal with moves is the Poison Bomb. He sticks his tail into the ground, causing poison puddles to appear that then explode. The range is further than you would expect on these, so really get away from them. But luckily, he's stuck just kinda sticking his tail in the ground, so at least you know what he's doing while he's executing this move. And last but not least, he has a dig attack where he dives, dealing damage, and then, after a couple seconds, pops back up, dealing damage on the return. Use a transformation, or time your dodge as you see the earth start to erupt. This is another place where Cloud Step is really good. If you don't have Cloud Step, try Non-Void. The reason Cloud Step is so good is because he focuses everything on the decoy, and you can actually sit just off to the side, charge up heavy, and as soon as he appears, just bonk him in the face. Something else I found is it was really hard to use Pluck of Many on this fight. So, if you want to use it a little bit more easily, be sure to immobilize the boss first. It is a pretty big mana commitment to do both, but also the Pluck absolutely burns through his health, which personally I found to be super useful. Now that said, I still got hit more than I would have liked on the kill, but hey, I got him down, he's dead, I'm not. I'd call that a win in the end. And so with the Scorpionlord defeated, it's time to continue exploring Purple Cloud Mountain. There's definitely some other horrors lurking here, but at least from my experience, nothing that was quite as challenging. Though that isn't to say that the other two bosses, Duskvale and Taoist Me, are a piece of cake. So if you wanted a few tips on how to bring them down, then do check out my dedicated video. On the other hand, if you're going through all the other optional bosses in Chapter 4, check out my video on how to defeat Yellow Long. That is still, to date, the most challenging fight I've faced in the game, and also my personal favorite. Links to those will be up in the card and down below. And also, if you've gotten a few attempts in on Scorpionlord, let me know, was it just me that struggled to read everything? It was something about how he moved and the speed at which he chained things together that it was really hard for me to follow him. Yes, I could see that he was doing this attack, I could see his tail was glowing green, and would still hit me because I dodged too early or I dodged too late. This is something I haven't really encountered or struggled with when doing most of the other bosses. There's just something about how the boss moved or his timing that really felt off to me. So let me know if you had similar experiences down in the comments below. And if you need more Black Myth Wukong guides, well, I've got you. Just head over to MaxwellGG and start browsing. Link will be down below. And of course, before I go, a special thanks to my patrons and channel members for the continued support. For as low as $1 a month, you can make videos just like this one possible. Link to support is down below. And a big thanks to everyone who watched to the end of the video. Hopefully you're able to take down Scorpionlord without too many issues, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.